Ladies and gentlemen, round two begins of the CCL quals between, I believe we have NOOT NOOTERS and Mystic Academy. Quite two different tiers of teams here, two different kind of play styles, we'll say. Because you got Pengu versus Baron and Candle. So it's an interesting battle we got going on here for round two. My name is Jasmine. This is Corbeck, and I'm excited to get back into the swing of things into map number two.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to get a chance to, I must admit, right, in my heart of hearts, it is exciting to get a chance to cast Pengu here, but it's worth pointing out from what I heard of the chatter, and I don't know the exact scores myself, but from the chatter, it sounded like Pengu over on there on NOOT NOOTERS, they got taken for a bit of a ride by Sonic Boom. The team that they were playing in the last round got pushed into overtime, apparently, so that's pretty intense. Mystic Academy, I don't think, had quite the same bumpy road, so they're coming into this maybe a little bit fresher, but, you know, it is definitely a little bit two levels of play, but it's going to be interesting to see. I think we have the rosters here so we can take a look and get an idea of what players we will be seeing in this matchup here as we push forward. So again, I trust you here, Jazz, to have a good idea of what's what. Oh no.
Yes. So on the side of NOOT NOOTERS, you got a lot of I mean, established names, we'll just say the least. One of them is, you know, like a world champion or whatever.
Yeah,
and then
established.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got CL players like Storms, Valor, who is I think most recently, oh gosh, I don't even remember. It's been so long, but he was in CL. And then you got names like Trist and Snake, two T3 players that are trying to kind of get themselves out there and prove themselves just a little bit. And outside Team Mystic Academy, you've got a roster of 5 that is completely trying to prove themselves all together. This isn't your normal pub stack. This isn't some team that is just built from the ground up just for this tourney. This is what appears to be an established team for Team Mystic. They got Baron, Spy, Aggro, Candle, and Cryptics. Big representatives of the Canadian scene. Definitely Spy and Baron and Cryptics. They're all Canadian, and I've heard of them around, in and around the CCL scene and around the T3 scene. But, you know, what are they going to do against Pengu and Storms and Valor and Snake? You know, that's kind of the big question that I want to get answered today.
That's a good question to have. I mean, you know, if what I heard was true and Sonic Boom did take the NOOT NOOTERS to overtime, that is an interesting development. They must be a scary team. But yeah, Team Mystic, a storied name in T3. I'd go so far as to say that. And so a lot of gunners there trying to prove their worth. Let's take a quick look at our map vetoes here. Remember, these qualifiers are best of one. So it'll only be the one map that will be played. If you see Consulate, remember, that is Bank. That's just a minor little thing. It's going to be Chalet, actually, here coming up for us. That's pretty exciting. I'm happy to see that. I honestly did not think we would be seeing it today.
Definitely the kind of the representative of the main meta right now, this aggressive sort of how effectively can you use your grenade sort of style. And Chalet is historically an attacker sided map, and it seems like we are going to have that sort of be a common pattern, I think, today, especially because you have a team like Mystic who are established, so you could expect them to have at least, you know, solid clears and an understanding of what they want to do strategy wise. And then you have a team that is aggressive, that features aggressive players like Snake, like Valor, that has, you know, a little bit of a pug stacky kind of feel to it. This is a really, really good mesh, I think, just for this map, and I'm definitely going to be seeing a lot of grenades. That's the main thing that you're going to have to watch out for, is how the heck are we going to handle the frags on the side of the attack.
It's interesting you talk there about, you know, the aggression or whatever. It's interesting to me that Coastline made it so deep into these picks. Actually, we saw it get taken out almost, I think, one of the first couple last round. So it's nice to see that getting some traction here as well. But I love Chalet. I think it's a great reworked map. It provides a lot of kind of interesting talking points. It provides some interesting positioning, and it is, you know, a break from your maybe standard monotony of your clubhouse, your villa, your you know, Oregon, et cetera, et cetera. It's worth pointing out here that NOOT NOOTERS will be starting on the attack, so that's Pengu and the gang there who will be leading it in. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jess, but I do believe that Chalet is still slightly attacker favored based on the statistics that we have after SI. I think it shifted a little bit towards defenders more than people initially thought, but it still does remain in the attacker side.
It started out attacker side, and I think a little bit of that attacker sidedness still lingers, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw NOOT NOOTERS kind of getting that early advantage. But yeah, with definitely with Pengu on your team, you're definitely going to have a little bit more structure. He's one of those players that is renowned for, you know, his leadership ability, his IGLing, the fact that he's able to just fix mistakes as they happen. And I'm interested in the bans is we got a Jackal ban, very ranked style ban. I don't know. Jackal can definitely be really annoying, but there's not a lot he brings in this current meta that can really help you. He doesn't even bring burn, which is the big thing. You'll see a lot of the times whenever you look at the gadget list, whenever you notice the grenades, it's like, oh, everyone either has flashbangs or grenades, and that's because that's clear. You have to clear out, your ADSs, you have to clear out your Romai discs, and then you have to let your nades go in. That is the meta right now. It's not anything to do with those primary gadgets. Jackal doesn't really bring much to the table except for smokes. And his gadget is just really good at singling off maybe one person. But if you have a team like Mystic Academy, who, I mean, I have never seen them play before, but to assume that they'll be playing, kind of coordinated, you shouldn't be able to single out just one person like that.
Really interesting ban, actually, right there at the tail end, is taking Wamai out of play. And that's the defenders who banned that. I feel like I see Wamai used so heavily on the defense here. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, they're chit-chatting about it in chat, so maybe they know something that I don't, which is almost certainly true at this stage. But it is an interesting ban because usually Wamai is the defender that anchors, right? The upstairs holds on things like library and stuff where you just got him up there in that hallway. So interesting to see him removed indeed here. We're actually going to start on kitchen dining. Frost making an appearance in the form of Baron. Shouldn't surprise anyone. Frost does get a little traction here. The mats can be used to good advantage. I appreciate Storms bringing out a Twitch here as well. There's not a ton probably of work for the Twitch to do, but it will certainly help counteract those electro claws and open up some hard walls if that is what they need to do here.
Yeah, and going back to the Wamai, he's basically prevalent on every site in this game because there's always a shield that needs to be cleared. Mainly, like, for example, inside of... Oh, there's Rios coming. We'll be back to my face, my ugly mug, as well as Corvex's beautiful face pretty soon, guys.
Aw, don't do yourself like that.
Nah,
you got a beautiful mug.
It's the hair. It's the hair. That's the only thing that's carrying me right now. That's it. And your hair is beautiful as well. I mean, come on.
Thank you. Some people can pull that off. Funny enough, my long hair last time I was at the barber. The barber's like, oh, I don't know if you can do that.
Dude,
like literally said that. I was like, oh, dang, that's fair, man. But like that hurts a little bit. Looks like we will be going back, for the rehost. Unfortunate, but it sounds like somebody had a cursor glitch or something in there. So we are back to us. We didn't get to see too much of that play. But the Wamai band is interesting. Like you said, I mean, he is so prevalent on so many sites. And I think of him as one of the more iconic defenders here on Clubhouse. So to see him get taken out, I don't know if there's a master plan, there's something bigger. To see him get taken out by the defenders as well, in particular, is just a very interesting choice to me.
Like I said, like we were speaking before, the rehost, the thing about Wamai is that he is just so good on every single site. No matter what, there's the thing about Consulate, or the thing about Chalet that kind of makes it difficult is that usually there's only one avenue that you can kind of hold down, and that's what Wamai can really help you with, because you're able to stack all these Wamai discs on one shield and just allow it to live as long as possible. For example, on your bar defenses, you would have a shield on top Ivy, and you just have a Wamai playing there and just throwing his disc as much as possible. You have a shield inside a piano whenever it's a master hold, and then you have a shield kind of on the rotate into dining, between dining and kitchen, that little half wall right in front of the dining table where the default plant spot usually is. You put a shield to the side there as well. It should be really difficult to clear, especially because you have footholds right at the kitchen, or right at the dining hallway leading into dining. So there's always something that Wamai is useful on this map. There is nothing wrong with picking a Wamai on every single site. But the problem is that obviously now that he's banned, all you have is Jaeger. Jaeger's the only thing you have to work with, and you can clear that in like 2 flashbangs, because usually the max you're going to stack maybe on a shield is 2, sometimes 3, but there's just not enough ADSs to go around to be stacking 3 on 1 direct shield. You have to have some maybe playing, for example, if we were to go back to Master, you have to have 2 ADS inside a piano and then maybe 1 inside a closet if you're holding solar. So a lot to work with here. There's just a lot of flexibility allotted whenever you have a Wamai, but unfortunately none of that's going to come to fruition.
And in a meta too, where I feel like we're, like you said, we're seeing so many kind of throwable, so many burn things, to not have the Wamai in there for that added sort of missile defense is just is a bit of a problem, right? Jaeger is just not capable of doing it anymore by himself. You need that double whammy combo. So that's a decision that I think could very well come back to maybe hurt these defenders, and certainly will impact defenders on both sides. Other than that, I think the ban phase was relatively standard across the board. Nothing too big to be noted there in the setup, but you saw, I think initially in the attacker pick, they had maybe, I want to say, at least 6 frag grenades. They might have even had 8 frag grenades. I'm trying to remember exactly who they had. So certainly a scary proposition there. But, you know, you mentioned second floor here on Chalet, and I feel like that's a bomb site that people are starting to shy away from just a little bit. I think a lot of people, when they first reworked this map, thought it was going to be, you know, quite defensible, and it's really turned out to be quite a struggle. I've even seen people favoring going back to basement, which for a long time people were saying that's a death trap, instead of playing that master bedroom.
Yeah, it really depends from team to team, especially because on master there's a lot of angles that you can attack from, as opposed to like bar and as opposed to dining. You know, you can go in from you can hold master double window, you can go in from solar, you can go in from trophy, you can go in from ivy, you can go in from ego balcony. I mean, you can go in through the e-box, or not the e-box, the box wall. I mean, literally everything. There's so many things you can attack from, and that's why the top floor can really be difficult. But the main thing about the top floor that also makes it really difficult, that I don't think a lot of people keep into account, is that it is so comfortable for double pronged attacks, for having people walk up solar and also having people in bathroom or on master window. There's so much space that you can make just from sitting outside of the map on that site. It can be a detriment sometimes. But yeah, common rehost rules mean that all players are going to pick the exact same operators. Those are not the wrong bands, my friend. But yeah.
He's trying to get the Lamai. He's gonna reverse the Lamai ban any way you can at this point in time. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Just get Lamai back in there, get those discs back up. But yeah, again, we talked a little bit about the setup here that they have on the defense. The Vigil coming out there on the roam, pretty sensible stuff. You do have the option for, like I said, 6 frag grenades with the sledge, the on the Finca, all coming together, and obviously the Twitch drone there for clearing utility. It's a pretty standard, I would say, attacking setup for this particular site, right? You're going to want to try and establish some aggressive top control early, and then start dropping frag grenades down like depth charges onto the site, cause a lot of havoc as best you can. And, you know, if you're on the defense, right, you're going to rely quite heavily, I think, on Candle to be your sort of main point of contact on that Vigil. He's got to do his level best to kind of hold off some of these entries, at least perhaps get a kill or two in there and maybe deprive them of some of those frags that they have in the pocket. I appreciate the positioning of that castle barricade, but of course, you know, with a sledge on the field, the castle barricade's utility drops to kind of a very low level quite quickly.
Utility is going to be the name of the game here, isn't it, right? Like, I mean, you've got 3 sets of nades on the side of Noot Nooters. You got Snake, Valor, and Trist. You got flashbangs for days. You also got smokes for burn. I mean, this is going to be a lot, and especially with only having Spy on the Jaeger, we're going to have to keep harping on this until it comes true. It can be tough, and you also have a lot of anti-castle utility. You have Abana, you have Sledge. Like, this is perfect. This is a really good lineup from Noot Nooters that completely counters out Mystic Academy. Now, there is one, what I think dark horse for this round, what I think is going to be a game changer, and I think that's going to be Candle on the roam. If Candle can play this effectively against a team like Noot Nooters, who they play with different, you know, like whenever Pengu makes a team, he usually plays with different players every day. If you're able to isolate out Noot Nooters and just secure a kill that you wouldn't expect to have secured, that can be the advantage that you need to make a gap in between your attack and your defense. But at the same time, Noot Nooters are making a lot of space right now as Triss is in the fireplace.
You can already start to see, right, the kind of pressure that's coming onto this top floor. This is going to be the main battle here, really, honestly. Good shield positioning right there, too. Does make Triss kind of back off just for a second. Has to sort of reconsider their options of how they want to address this. Maybe get a couple more bodies in place. The castle barricade on the double windows is already down. You've got the Gemini going in here just for scouting purposes to give you an idea. And that second castle barricade, by the way, is all that's really protecting that man who's holding the shield that Triss is challenging right now. So if that goes down here to Valor's grenade, that's a very dangerous position to be in. Looks like an ADS might have eaten that grenade, so they'll have to reset, but they might actually have to abandon that shield. They certainly do. Cryptix takes a couple of shots right there, but is able to duck back into the bathroom and hold that position. But look at how much ground they've had to give up in response.
Snake is going to be pushing into solar, but there is still Candle sitting nearby. He's got 2 angles to swing here, and he's kind of locked himself in a pretty bad position because he's got to rotate to his left and a doorway to his right, but he'll just walk away. I'm really confused as to how Candle, he is just dancing around his death right now, and he will finally get killed off. And Cryptix has somehow made it down Owl. What is this absolute kerfuffle of an attack? I don't know what's going on right now. Cryptix just ran past Owl, and then Candle just put himself in a position where he would just die. Like, What an interesting round here, but it is 3 versus 4 now. NOOT NOOTERS have capitalized on the fact that Mystic are down 2 men, as well as the fact that they have top 4 control. Valor is still well and alive. He can get vertical pressure if he so wants to, but he's going to have to make it quick as 30 seconds remain, and Storm's looking to make an entry here. He's going to have to play against a shield and aggro with a beautiful toss of a C4 will take him down. 20 on the clock. Diffuser is down inside a kitchen hall. Pengu is going to have to move in and go fast. Flashbang is coming on through here to try and challenge aggro. He's got no C4 remaining, so it's just going to be a game of bullets here. Aggro going to swing onto Pengu, can't secure the kill, and he is completely flashed now. Pengu will be in for a default plant, and aggro just has to try and stop this, but he's got so many angles just completely working against him. Snake is on for 2, and Cryptix secures Snake. This Pengu onto Cryptix, and now it's a 1 versus 1. Spy has to just take down Valor to win this round, but he can't. He's not looking the right way, as unfortunately Valor had positioned himself inside of the dining hallway. It's round number 1 going to the side of the attack. It's round number 1 to NOOT NOOTERS.
That's the experience and bravery, I would even say, the valor of a pro player right there, a former pro, just sort of dashing into the kitchen there on the cover of the flashbang and slamming that plant down. Good heads up read of the situation and good kind of counting of what your opponent has in their pocket to really stop you, which after that C4 went out, even though it did secure a kill, was essentially nothing, Jazz. So there was nothing they could do about it. I think that their kerfuffle on the top floor was very entertaining, though. I think the one part of it you also missed in there was that Trist just ran up to the closet wall, still knowing, it must have still known that Cryptix was hiding in the bathroom, and Cryptix eventually swung back out and got the kill or shot him through the wall. I don't know what. It was a very odd series of events up there on the top floor, but yeah, it's the high flying play right there, the high octane run in with the plant that does save the day, and a good little bit of play to cover it as well there from Valor to hold it at the end. So not the worst round Mystic Academy could have to start things off, but certainly, you know, a little bit unhappy to take the L there right out the gate. They're going to move on now to bar and gaming, and we might see the defensive setup we kind of talked about a little bit, or we hinted out previously with that shield at the top of Ivy. The library corridor kind of becomes a very critical point, and again, much like kitchen and dining, the real fight here is kind of for control over that second floor position.
And I'm interested to see how they're going to adapt around this as well, because they are going to be placing 2 shields, right? You're going to have your Ivy shield as well as your very common shield sitting inside of mezzanine. But the problem is that you're only going to have ADSs and Aruni gates to work with. Spy nearly losing his life there. He's got to be very, or almost nearly getting a kill. I'm not sure which way it went, but either way, it's just a little bit of poking to be done. Snake is inside of garage. I'm sure they have a pre-place for that, as is so common, because it's really easy to clear garage. As long as you just place a pre-place inside a trench maybe and just cut off the hallway, no one should be inside of big garage. So Spy is going to have to move back just a little bit here. He has to forfeit his position because Snake is coming up, and it's a wise move because it could have been deadly. Otherwise, he could have gotten bitten by the snake.
It could have been bitten indeed. Don't know if they have any anti-venom up there in the Alps either, so it could have been really problematic, depending on what kind of snake it is, after all. But a deadly one.
Are you
that
a snake expert? Is that
no?
Is that
I'm afraid of snakes. I hate them. They scare me. No
God,
legs.
Yeah,
Can't trust them.
Spiders,
it's just weird. Oh, look at that. Speaking of Snake here, he gets challenged briefly there by Spy, who was kind of doing a bit of a skirmishing job right there, fell back all the way to the bomb site eventually. And they bought a little bit of time for the team. We're into about just a little bit of minute 15 into the round. They've definitely wasted some time, but they have sort of sacrificed at least the initial parts of top-down control, and aggro actually picks up a kill here on the Storm. So the tight defense working out at least temporarily here on the side of Mystic Academy. Now the next lock that will be needed to pick is Cryptix here sitting at the top of Ivy, and I think they should be able to burn this out relatively easily. We've been talking about Util a lot, but Candle gets a kill on the Valor, so no, they kind of forgot about the other shield here in their effort to get Cryptix down, and finally he will lose that shield. They'll use Spy here as well, aggro getting the pick on the other side, so a flurry of kills here, but a 4v2 at the end of the day on the side of NOOT NOOTERS.
Shield is gone, but so are 3 players on the attacking side. Pengu has 2 options here. It's to swing the player Mez or to wait for the player Ivy. He is going to opt to swing Mez, but unfortunately, Cryptix is going to time that almost flawlessly. Triss, he's got a lot of bullets in his mag, but I'm not sure if any of them are going to be delivered to any skulls anytime soon, except for Candle. The alibi goes down as well. 42 seconds left. Trist, I mean, looking at the position of all the players here on Mystic Academy, they are... I mean, one of them is isolated, right? Like, if Cryptix, I don't know if Aggro's going to be willing to hold this cross. He will. Here comes a drop from Tristan. Unfortunately, either way, no matter how he took that, Cryptix was either getting the kill or it was aggro. So really well played there to Mystic. They will take back around in their favor. And it was definitely tough, you know, kind of watching how NOOT NOOTERS collapsed on that. They should have known that, you know, they kind of have that utility advantage without the Wamai, played around it, but unfortunately they just got peaked. And then unfortunately they couldn't respond to it properly. It is one apiece.
Yeah, I don't know if it was necessarily maybe a matter of communication or perhaps a little bit of impatience. I feel like they shouldn't have lost the bodies they did, right? Building up to that attack. Like you said, they had the util advantage. It's just a matter of burning out the ADSs and then finally getting that shield down. But like we saw, by the time that they actually managed to do that, they were so depleted in manpower, it would have been a very difficult push to really make that one stick. So something to take note of there, and maybe something for them to tighten up just a little bit in these following rounds so they don't take kind of as many early casualties before they're ready for a proper execute. And then we will see here, Mystic Academy is going to bite the bullet of this office site. They'll go ahead and set up here, Mute making an appearance here for Cryptix, and I assume that'll be the hard breach denial system they'll choose to use here. Obviously, those of you who follow the game know that Mute has sort of suffered in that hard breach denial role ever since they changed the way that his utility works. It's no longer a cylinder, it's a dome, and that means that there are always going to be sort of vulnerabilities on these walls that can be exploited, especially by someone like Habana, who just has so much control, Jazz, over how they can open up those walls. You really can't rely very strongly on Mute to be a full hard breach denial like you used to be.
Right, and I mean, it still does like what it's meant to do, I guess, is just kind of like mute off the wall, but there are just ways to go around it now, right? Like you can open up the top corners, and it's especially prevalent on like Clubhouse. That's kind of why Mute isn't seen on Clubhouse that much anymore, is because you can just rappel upside down on the CC wall and then open that. But that's a discussion for another time. Just to kind of explain what that means, like essentially Cryptix is going to want to rely a little bit more on other operators to help him out with the walls, but he can still do the job himself, just not as effectively. And that's why you'll see Mute paired with Bandit or paired with Kaid most commonly if he's not banned. Right. So that's the spiel. But either way, NOOT NOOTERS are making quick progress as they have. The cutoff inside of the basement area is effective, and a nade will soar upstairs and take down Candle. He should be recoverable here, as unfortunately they aren't able to drone this out. And it's a trade that goes in the favor of Mystic Academy, as they'll secure a kill onto Snake. That's a set of nades gone, as well as a gone.
I like what you did there. It's that's a good one. Put that in the bank. But it's worth pointing out to you. It's just, again, maybe that little bit of impatience, right, coming through. Snake just really going aggro, full sprint there after they did that frag. I don't think they really thought that there was anybody in a position to challenge them, and they paid for that with their life. So, you know, you can't slow this down. You're losing Trist now to a nitro cell, and this is a bit sloppy here on this third round. Pengu himself is up in library trying to figure out the best way to kind of push this assault in. Got a little backup here from Storms as well. So the team, I think, coalescing just a little bit, but with so few players left on the board here, Valor, the only other one who's off in space, it's going to be hard for you to apply a lot of kind of multi-angular pressure. Good kill onto Baron to get the Goyo down, but you know, you still got a full deck loaded against you and at least one nitro cell in the pocket here of Cryptix, who has yet to use it, and you've got a lot of util you're going to need to get through here before you can threaten this bomb site. And to top it all off, you're running out of time.
I was going to waste no time getting himself inside of West Main, and unfortunately he's going to meet the exact same fate that his teammate once did. Cryptix will take him down for a second, and now it's just up to Storms and Pengu, arguably your two most experienced players on the team. But is that enough to get it done here against 4? They're going to opt to try and get rid of the players sitting top floor to at least find maybe a frag or two, but Aggro and Spy are playing this cross like it's their life, because it literally is. Their life depends on it. Flashbang's going to come on through, and they will clear out the ADS. There's a swing here from Candle. Is ill-advised as Aggro gets the refrag. It's just down to Pengu. He will take down Spy. 1 versus 2. Does he have the time to even get inside of the bomb site is the question, as he's just looking for the player sitting outside a closet. He can't do it just yet. Bearing 9 in hand, he's trying to isolate all the players alive, but unfortunately he cannot do it. Aggro will secure the kill onto Pengu, and is going to be Mystic Academy in the lead, 2-1.
Alas, the bearing not bearing fruit there for Pengu in that tight situation. It was a good effort, but again, I just don't. How do you lose 2 people down there in kitchen like that? It's kind of crazy, to be honest, that they both got whacked in that particular spot. It's just kitchen is clearly closed for all intents and purposes. So they're going to have to think about what exactly went wrong there if they come back to that site, as we actually go to kitchen dining now, where all that bad juju is doubtless manifesting there against Noot Nooters. Very similar defensive and attacking lineups to what we saw last time. Don't think that's particularly surprising. And remember, it was kind of Pengu who led the charge here on the tail end of this last round when Noot Nooters picked up their win and just sort of rushed in there and got the plant down. Aggro was in a position where they were kind of stuck behind that short wall trying to hold it off. So I wonder if we see anything from Mystic in terms of maybe learning from that, putting some kind of defenders maybe in a position where they could reinforce Aggro if he will still continue to hold that position. Of course, anybody you put in there is going to have to be drawn off from the top floor. Interesting to note here as well, Jazz, no Vigil. They've given up on Vigil and they've gone to the alibi here on Candle.
I'm interested why they are cycling around this Vigil and this alibi. I initially thought it made sense, you know, just the Vigil. But honestly, with the way Noot Nooters have been placing their drones, it really doesn't matter if you bring a Vigil or not, because they're placing pre-place, right? Like, they are not active. They're passive droning half the time, so it really doesn't matter if you Vigil, because you can't Vigil 24/7. And then alibi, I mean, you know, there's better operators just be picking right now on the side of Mystic. And I just don't feel like those two operators serve their purpose very well, or have serve their purpose really well. I mean, I'd like to see a little bit more delay, right? Like smokes, like more C4s, maybe candle on smoke, maybe candle on a C4 operator, just anything at this point, just to fight utility with utility, fire with fire, because Noot Nooters have just been utilizing their nades effectively almost every single round, whether it clears utility or down somebody, a nade usually always lands. But at the same time, Mystic are in the lead. They have been doing something right, and I think that is kind of coming down to their aggressive playstyle. They're challenging Noot Nooters' kind of, I wouldn't say passive playstyle, but they're more organized playstyle, and Mystic is just kind of unraveling the string that's holding Noot Nooters together. So at the moment, it's working, but it could come back to bite them in the future.
They've also done a good job of taking advantage of that passive droning you were talking about. I mean, Kitchen is a perfect example. Oh, man. Aggro more than happy to collect that kill. Loses about half his health to do it, but that's unfortunate to see Valor die early, because that's your sledge as well, which makes all these castle barricades a little bit harder to cut through. I mean, you still have plenty of utility to do it, but I don't know if it's necessarily the utility you want to waste. And there goes one of your tools. Trist is taken out, and now things are getting a little bit ugly here for Noot Nooters. Storms managing to right the ship just a little bit there with a quick clapback onto Cryptics, but that still leaves, you know, Aggro here with a C4 and a couple of 4 other guns here covering this site. So it's not ideal. There's Pengu getting in on the action. Candle brought down, so that will take the alibi off the board as well, and now into a 3-3, a much more manageable scenario, and top control pretty much entirely sacrificed here now on the side of Mystic Academy. They have to fall back to their defensive positions in kitchen and hope for the best, as that frag grenade unfortunately will not perform the best, all things considered. Where's he going with that? Oh, castle barricade maybe.
He's going. I don't know where he is, but he's going
somewhere.
So I'm assuming they're using it for verticality, because
the Kaid.
That's possible as well. Valor's dead. You also have to keep that in mind. So Storms could be using this to just establish angles, as he has right now for Snake. But this doesn't solve your shield issue, does it? Right? Like, you still have a shield sitting well and truly inside of dining, holding itself down, and you also have Aggro, who has been living up to his name, and he secures yet another kill. He is just been leading the charge for this defense on the side of Mystic Academy, and now it's just down to Snake as Pengu goes down, and Spy is on for 2. He takes down Pengu and Snake, and it is Mystic Academy on for 3 rounds to 1 against Noot Nooters.
It's a rough ending to that round for Noot Nooters. You could tell that their strategic options were really limited when they were all trying to funnel in right through one Hibana hole, basically in the fortified wall of kitchen, and they still had the shield set up there. They were just waiting for him. They're not killing the utility. I mean, I think that's a huge part of the problem here, is they're not able to bring their resources to bear on the util that they need to destroy, and that last round is a perfect example of that problem in action. Now going over to Bar Gaming again. Still, we're going to keep this Alibi in rotation. A very valid choice here. The Malusi coming out as well. I assume Cryptics will be back on sort of shield duty, what we saw last time they're holding at the top of Ivy. Maybe they've learned something from this last time, because I think that they could really leverage a lot more pressure on Cryptics quite quickly, all things considered. It did kind of look a little half-hearted when they went after them last time. I mean, they've got, you still got 6 frag grenades and a handful of flash grenades here as well in your lineup. You've got a lot of tools to burn through any sort of manageable util defense. So something to consider right there as they fall into the standard patterns of defending this top floor. Mystic, I think, probably feeling pretty good about themselves right now, Jazz. This has gone well, all things considered.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you have to really come down to the fact that, Mystic are just kind of playing right into Noot Nooters. Noot Nooters are a lot of the time gifting Mystic early advantages. Yeah. And I think that kind of comes down to just aggressive play styles on every play. This is what I expected, right? Like, I know Valor and Snake to be very, very, well, maybe not so much Valor, definitely Snake, to be really aggressive players. Trist is obviously proving himself to be one of those as well. But it's aggressive to a fault. We see Trist just kind of taking early 1v1s for no reason, and in spaces where he's disadvantaged. But this time around, Spy is going to be one on the disadvantage, and he's going to be dead as Snake through the wall will manage to take down Spy as he tries to rotate out. Definitely risky there. Spy played there last time, and that is one thing about Mystic, is that they don't tend to change up their positions, their playstyle, or their operators. So pretty easy read there for Snake, and he played that pretty well. He went in with his teammate this time around. I believe Pengu was the one on Windows. Maybe it was Trist. And it's an early frag here for for Noot Nooters. It is Spy, so not a lot of utility goes down there, but it's a player, man, and that can cost you a lot.
Yeah, one of your kind of key delay factors from the last round too. Spy was the one who kind of skirmished their way back right through kitchen, made it work, and the Rotero doesn't go off. That's so unfortunate. That was so well positioned. That was exactly what they needed. The fact that it got clipped is very tragic indeed, at least temporarily, but you still have a lot of grenades here to play with, so you will be able to breach those systems. Triss goes down though, so you have a few less grenades to play with too. In fact, taken off of the board right there. You've still got 4 here in the pocket of Snake and Valor respectively, as slowly but surely the pressure begins to build on the top floor. Aggro, who's 7-1, by the way, has had a wonderful match so far, will surrender their position in library as Valor secures a kill onto Cryptics, and they might have been able to free up, I think, some of that cover from the angle. I wonder if Cryptics was the one he's holding long shield. Look at that, Snake just lead peeks into Baron, and Baron has no idea, just gets absolutely wasted right there in the doorway.
Snake is aggro, and it works sometimes, I'll tell you that. He's going to swing on to Dining Hall, and that's when it doesn't, as aggro takes him down 2 versus 3, and you've got 49 seconds. Noot Nooters have a perfect amount of time to work with here. They've got Valor alive this time around, so verticality can be established, but to be honest, there's not a lot of verticality to establish on this map that isn't already made in the defender setup. Nade's going to come soaring in through stock here, and it is going to land, but unfortunately Candle does back away at the right time. Valor does not have any more nades to work with, and nor does the team of Noot Nooters. Crosses are being held here. Aggro is rotating, and this could be the perfect time for Noot Nooters to storm on in here and take down Candle, but this is also a good opportunity for Aggro to make a play. He's walking up the main stairs, and he's got 2 against him, but unfortunately he doesn't notice the angle that is going to work against him. Both Pengu and Storms are going to be inside of Bar. Pengu gets the refrag onto Valor, onto Candle, and now it's just down to 1 versus 2. Pengu going to move to a safer plant spot there. Aggro trying to find the kill, and that could have been a crucial one, but unfortunately he's not able to get it. Pengu will get all the way over into default, and Aggro is very low on HP. It seems like it's all winding down here for Mystic Academy. Their perfect run is coming to an end as Aggro needs a miracle here. He's got no HP left. He's going to be working with the angles with him, but it doesn't seem like he's going to have that grasp. He's not going to have that perfect angle to find onto both Pengu and Storms. They are 2 very well-experienced players, so you know they're going to be playing for the safety of the team, and Noot Nooters will win the round. After a 3-loss streak, it is going to be 3-2.
Yeah, it's exactly what they needed in that scenario. Kind of stop this from running away from them a little bit right there. Maybe put the possibility of the 3-3 back on the board, which is far better than the other alternatives they were facing. And just a great plant situation, like a great plant execution, I should say, by Storms and Pengu right there. Got the plant down. The whole thing was covered, right? The appropriate amount of aggression. It was unfortunate that I think it was Valor who had to sacrifice themselves so they could get the trade in on Candle, but it was all very well done. And it just kind of kept aggro out the door, basically shut him down. Not that aggro wasn't obviously trying their level best, right? Trying to set up some angles, maybe get a cheeky kill in, but it just was never going to work out. So those two players really showing themselves and showing their mettle right there, which is, I think, something that we both would have expected. So it's no big surprise as we go back up to master bedroom yet again. And you will see a similar lineup to what they ran last time. Nothing, again, too surprising here. The big change, in this is I feel like Castle has just become increasingly less useful across these rounds. They really have not got too much value out of him. Interesting, though, if you look at the side of NOOT NOOTERS, they brought the Twitch back into play. Did they have Twitch when they went up here last time? I don't think they did. So an interesting choice right there.
They might have had Twitch once. I remember Storms was on Twitch, and I think that was round number 1. But
yeah, round number 1 they had a Twitch. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been rotating between the Roteros and the Zappy Zaps, because I forget what they're called.
I think they're just called Twitch drones, right?
Are they?
Like, maybe I'll go look it up, to be honest. But I'm gonna call it a Twitch drone until I get a proper name. Castle barricades probably have a real name too, but everybody calls them what they are. Some sort of armor panel, I'm sure. They have a fancy name.
I know the Echo drones are called like Yokais. Right?
Yeah.
That one's pretty easy. Oh well,
it's cool. Catchy name.
Yeah. Either way, NOOT NOOTERS seem like they're gonna be switching up their strat a little bit. Baron is sitting inside of closet. I'm not. He's in mud, and I have no idea why. By the way, he's rocking a C4 in his pocket, and he's gonna swing right onto this LMG and just barely misses it. He can't take down Trist. That would have been quite a trade between those two. 2 nades going down versus a C4. Like, I'm not sure why Baron's here to begin with, and I'm not sure why Snake. I don't think Snake knows either. And he will just get the kill. That's a freebie onto Baron. No refrag ability there at all. No refrag capability. Yeah, I just came up with the word. What about it?
Yeah, it's a good word.
I like it. But that's rough there. Candle will take down Trist. So in the end, both of them die. But regardless, C4 wasted. No refrag here for Trist either. It's an aggressive start from both teams, but NOOT NOOTERS, they will get the wall open, and that's the important thing.
Shakespeare did that, he just made up words. It works. True. You just throw them out there and they get picked up, and that's how you make a language. Yeah.
I am the siege version of Shakespeare. I am siege spear.
There you go. Siege spear. They're called shock drones, by the way. I looked it up. That's their technical terminology. So no real creative naming process right there. But like you said, I don't know what Baron was really doing. I think they were trying to just be a little bit clever, to be honest, maybe try and get an ambush. But against players of this caliber, you should maybe not expect those kind of tricks to work. And it looked like a bit of a chaotic exit as well. So unfortunate there, but the defense still holding okay. They have had to cede a fair amount of territory here, but you're kind of falling back onto the second line of defenses as those ADSs do get burned out. That's going to make Candle a little vulnerable, but Storms does die. Aggro again. Aggro is having a hell of a map here on Chalet. Up to 10 kills, gets another one on the triple. Go on, mate. Have one more. He's just right there. Snake trying desperately to make something happen, is getting covered from multiple angles, now getting challenged at the door as well. Poor Snake, really not a lot of choices left in the arsenal here. Goes for the peek through the main wall there, leading in, and it's Candle who just swings around the outside edge and confirms the kill. But man, Aggro, the star of the show here on defense for sure.
He lines up 2 players for the kill, and that's it. Mystic Academy ending up pretty well off here. 4-2 on a defensive half. I mean, I'll take it. But yeah, Mystic, a great start from them. And I think they really played around NOOT NOOTERS really well. There's definitely some leadership going on the side of Mystic Academy. Players are playing really passively. They're taking advantage of situations that go in their way. But other than that, they're just waiting for NOOT NOOTERS to come to them. And NOOT NOOTERS themselves, whenever they make individual mistakes, Mystic is there to capitalize and pretty effectively. So now we'll be switching it up here. Seems like pretty standard lineup from both sides. Again, that Momai ban definitely going to be something in the back of your mind, as Alibi is basically forced to be brought. But Regardless, sorry, did I say Alba? I meant a Rooney.
Yes.
Regardless, it is going to be a kitchen dining defense. A very strong site, this one. If played, you know, I'd say the main thing about this is utility is your number one factor for if you win this bomb site or if you don't. And also how you play the top floor and also how you play West Main. And I think that a lot of teams tend to just kind of fit that all into one big challenge, right? To play West Main while also playing top floor. And that's why you usually see those holes inside of Trophy, because you're going to have the player that plays upstairs. If they end up falling back to Solar, they can pressure West Main. And it's quite the flow, but the one issue is that you can't really go back up if you go back down, right? Like, you can't really make your way up Trophy in most cases if the attack gets control of the top floor, because it's a death sentence. So you're basically forced to play downstairs, and it's also a matter of how long can those top floor players delay.
Interesting here to point out as well that Noot Nooters are not really bringing castle, right? They're not going for the castle stuff at all. They've just given up on that entirely. And also, by the way, aggro on the sledge here will probably be one of the initial points of contact. So that's something to watch as Spy just goes ahead and opens up, very aggressively opens up the window there in the library with the LMG in hand, already trying to put any pressure on the top deck here. Some good droning coming in, and that actually gets him a kill. Cryptic's just waiting for Snake there, who tries to rotate away from that drone and absolutely gets caught looking there from that main door sightline. Brutal stuff. Good little bit of teamwork there from Mystic Academy as well, as now Cryptic is on the drone themselves, trying to usher his teammates forward here and get them into better positioning to assault the fortress that has been established on the second floor. And they are slowly building towards that conclusion, as Candle now doing a little bit of scouting of their own.
One thing that you do have to keep in mind about Chalet is that you can be rewarded for aggressive plays on attack, but extremely punished for aggressive plays on defense, and you'll see why. The map is just not made for it, right? Like, there's not a lot of options you have for flanking. The one point that is usually contested by aggressive roamers is mezzanine, is that fireplace area, usually from main stairs, or from bottom main, from bar, from dining hall. That's where your aggression is going to come in. But there's also a lot of avenues to approach that from. You can have players sitting outside of the fireplace doorway. You can have players established already inside of library, peeking down into Mez. It's aggressive. It's risky. And if it's a high risk, it's a high reward. But unfortunately, you could see that Snake didn't meet any benefits from that peak. But with a minute 12 left, Mystic Academy are just setting themselves up now, getting rid of the shield that Storms could have played, but there's still a lot of angles to work with. And one big thing is that no walls have been opened yet, because there's jammers alive and finally get the wall into bunker open. But there's been a lot of time wasted. We're down to the seconds mark instead of the minute mark.
Well, Valor actually backs off right there. I think that is surprising. I don't think they knew that Valor was hiding behind the wall there. I think he could have stayed in that position for a little bit longer, but when they started hearing the bunker wall open up at maybe just a few two angles he didn't want to contest or something, that goes into work right there. Baron trapped on yet another wall here, trying to breach into kitchen. Is still a 5v4 with 30 seconds left in the round, so expect a flurry of violence to be delivered our way right there. On the main doorway now is Pengu. Pengu collecting one kill there on Baron, immediately reloads his shot from below. What an angle by Aggro right there. Rotates all the way down to the basement to make that one work. And now 10 seconds left on the clock. Still a lot of bodies in play. Cryptix comes surging in, gets Trist right there. 4v2 now. Aggro, the favor returned by Valor almost immediately. Candle spamming through the wall right there will secure the kill onto Valor, and that just leaves Storm outside the site here as the plant is slammed down. Candle picks another one off through the wall. Great round for Candle right there, and a great round for Mystic Academy.
Really well played there to Mystic Academy. Honestly, their cohesion is really starting to show on these attacks. We saw they had nearly 30 seconds left on the clock, and it was decided that Aggro could take a risk and go down into the basement to try and clear the player inside of dining. You don't make that decision on your own. That comes out of really, really good experience, and that comes out of a really good leader, or just out of really good brain power there. And that was really smart from the side of Aggro or Mystic or whoever made that call. And they did it so effectively, so quickly. It was almost like it never happened. And in the end of the day, it turned into a collapse. Aggro did end up going down, but he still went down, securing a very important kill. And you can't forget Candle getting himself inside and established, being able to secure 2 off of the execute. Yeah. You can't ask for a better round there from Team Mystic. And especially with the time ticking down, unfortunately, it didn't seem like Noot Nooters had much of an advantage there. It didn't really seem like they could capitalize on the fact that Mystic Academy were down in seconds, that they had no time left, that the clock was slowly ticking down. and against them. Unfortunately, there was no advantage to be taken there from NOOT NOOTERS. They just kind of allowed Mystic to go through and just plow through their defense. I think that would have gone a lot differently had aggro not gone underneath.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been probably a bloodbath.
It was 100% right. He really opened up the angle. The person that he killed too. I mean, he killed Pengu, right? This is like the sort of the anchor of that lineup, quite literally and figuratively in that situation. So taking him down was a particularly important kill right there. Fortunately, it looks like my feed is stuttering just a little bit, but it's not going to take away from. Oh, looks like we'll be coming back to us. It's not going to take away from what I was going to point out here, which is that NOOT NOOTERS, they need to collectively find their spine, their weight. I don't know what it is, but this is not looking particularly good from them. They are in perilous danger if they do not win this next round of this sort of running away from them at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, Mystic haven't slowed down whatsoever. They've been playing exactly... Nope. They've been playing clinically, and they've been playing clinically for the past 5 rounds. NOOT NOOTERS have only gone 2, I think, and they only got, what? In the... I would... No, it was 3 in a row. It was 3 in a row for Mystic up until... NOOT NOOTERS were able to take an attack before they switch sides, and then Mystic now claim a defense. So, I mean, wow. They claim attack. But anyway, it was just really well played there from Mystic. The cohesion was definitely there. I mean, I don't think that's out of the question. And I'm guessing if the Observer did crash, the round is actually still probably going on right now.
Yes.
I can actually check. Yeah, Pengu's in the middle of the round, so I'll update you on that. It happens, I mean, what can we really do except get back quickly? But yeah, in general, it doesn't seem like a lot of what NOOT NOOTERS are doing is getting rewarded as effectively as they thought. If they make an aggressive play, there's usually someone to refrag against them, and sometimes they make aggressive plays where there is no one to refrag. It's just a freebie, and I think that failure to capitalize on situations that go in your favor, it can definitely hinder you a little bit. And at the same time, Mystic haven't really been giving them that space to do so, have they? I mean, they've been playing Chalet as effectively as you can. They've been taking control all over the map, and it's just been super duper easy for them. If one player goes missing, there's usually someone to fill their place.
Yeah, that is kind of how it's been, right? You lose a guy and then they just immediately popping back into the spot. I mean, they're hitting them from angles I don't think they're necessarily anticipating. They've got some good kind of drone work that's setting up kills. It's been very impressive overall, but unfortunately, due to the technical errors, we're just going to take a quick break here. Hopefully, we will be able to rejoin and see the tail end of this matchup between Mystic Academy and NOOT NOOTERS right after this break.
All right. Well, Observer was able to come back in. Unfortunately, we did end up missing around. Well, we basically end off on this exact same point that we did last time. Mystic Academy are on the upper foot, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like NOOT NOOTERS are willing to get a grasp on this map so far. They're going to go into Bar and Dining, into Bar and Games, which I don't think has been played yet. So, you also have an Echo on the side. This is vintage Pengu here on the Echo. I'm super interested to see how this round goes. But if you did miss it, I'm Jasmine. This is Corbeck. And NOOT NOOTERS, I mean, you can see the scoreline isn't looking too favorable for them.
No, they've been given a real bloody nose here. I mean, they do have a loser's bracket, right? So they're not out of the qualifier. But again, this is, I think, probably a bit upsetting for them, all things considered. It would certainly be upsetting for me if I was in their position. But there's some experienced players over there. So even if they do lose this one, I'm sure they'll kind of steel themselves a little bit and fight their way back, all things considered. But yeah, not the best day. And it's a pretty relatively interesting defense that they're setting up here. The introduction of the Echo, I think, is an interesting choice. I'm not exactly sure what they're looking to get out of it. I mean, obviously Yokais are very valuable. It's also an operator, like you said, it's vintage Pengu, so he's going to be quite comfortable on it. That's something to note as well. But again, it's the kind of discussions that we've been having about Alibi and stuff like that. Is this the most valuable operator you can bring at any given time? And I'll be honest, I think that what my ban has really had some knock-on effects. I think it's maybe thrown Noot Nooters off just a little bit, that they don't have to contest with those magnets and they don't have the magnets themselves. So the challenge on the top floor is just going to be a lot more assertive here from Mystic Academy.
Yeah, I think Mystic have not only just been playing assertive, but they've also just been playing connected together. This isn't just relentless aggression for no reason whatsoever. This isn't just one person pushing by themselves. This is a team. This is a group of players, using their utility effectively. You can see that Storm's position here inside of Mez is being challenged all by one single Habana Pella. And look at the crosses that are established against him. This dude is literally in a cage right now, as he's got a player sitting on his window. Just kill him already. Like, put him out of his misery. He is quite literally in the shits. He has no options here. There's nowhere this man can go. Trist will go down as well, and luckily Pengu is there to make him recovered. But Storm just got hit with everything on the side of Mystic Academy. And my point's kind of being proven here. This aggression, it's well thought out, and there's a lot of coordination.
They just pick them apart. I mean, it's a good kill from Candle right there as well. And the Valor, and now you've established top control. Pengu's down. That's leaving your fate in the hands of Snake and Trist, respectively. And Trist is on a sliver of a hair of a health. This is not a particularly great scenario at all. Snake looks like they're relatively stuck up here in mud. Trist has not been having a particularly strong game either. Currently sitting on 1 and 8 there. Snake will manage to clap back and get a kill, though. It's Aggro who goes down, and Trist gets one as well. Trist and Snake making a little bit of a stand. And now everything on the back of Snake in the 2v1. Baron's still up. Cryptic's still up, and Cryptic has been having a field day here on this Chalet map as the plant begins to go down. It'll be Cryptix who secures the kill and secures the match victory here, as Noot Nooters are sent into the losers bracket by Mystic Academy.
What a scoreline. I don't think any of us expected this. Mystic Academy will wake up, and this, my friends, is what a good, solid, well-coordinated team looks like. This is it. This is a great example of what you can do whenever your calls are on point, whenever utility usage is just what it should be, and whenever all of your players are of the same mindset. A great show there from Mystic Academy. They're now 2-0 in the bracket. Unfortunately, Pengu and friends, the Noot Nooters, they're going to be down in the losers bracket. I'm going to assume that they're just going to make that losers bracket an absolute nightmare for anyone else. But still, I mean, what a game from Mystic. There's nothing else to really say about that. These are 5 players that are trying to establish themselves not only in the Canadian scene, but also in T3, really coming out and showing their strengths here. I'm really proud of the boys for getting this victory. Definitely showing us why T3 might not be to mess with.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that's a feather in their cap, right? It's not, a pro team. It's not necessarily an organized team, right? But, you still get chalk that victory against Pengu up there in the column and make yourself feel a little better. It's a morale boost at the very least, and a bit of a rep boost as well. I think for them, they have to be happy about that result. And I agree. I thought we were going to see a much closer match than we did, but you're right. Going down into the bracket, I'm sure the losers bracket, I'm sure Noot Nooters are going to make everybody very uncomfortable. But I mean, there's some strong teams down there as well at this point in time. There are people who are going to give them a little bit of a fight, so it's not, I think, going to be an entirely cakewalk in that regard. But yeah, Team Mystic Academy, I should say, they can hold their heads high. They've done very well indeed. We've got more action coming your way. Just going to let a couple of matches clear up here, but after that, we'll be right back with another exciting matchup here in these qualifiers.